purchases, she recommended that I write the proposal, send it forward to her, and she'll review it, and then come back and tell us, yeah, this is something that would go, or something that wouldn't go.
That's what she's there for.
Right. And that's why
See,
we,
they were like 5 days too late because I think the Camden property got bought, and you use that money to buy the Camden property. For the storage.
What's this about 5 days too late?
Turkey Company's in the process of buying the Camden property.
Okay.
They put a deposit of 50,000 down, but finances haven't went through yet, so,
Okay, well, I've got a motion and a second on the floor though, right?
yes.
It was, Ted, what was the motion?
To request the council to advertise, authorize advertisement of a COVID-19 disaster response.
Okay. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Motion passed. Anything else?
no, sir, not at this time, unless you had any questions for me.
No, thanks for the update.
Thank you.
I might not read them for a day or two, but I get to them.
Nice one.
HR, Cecily, right, she just,
I just told her to come on in.
Oh, I would have caught up with you. Is this just for the county? Is this just for the county or? for
That's the
these guys?
counties, and then
These guys
each
are separate.
municipality got an additional amount of money.
Okay.
you are up.
I'm up. Oh,
You got 2 minutes.
I can do that. Did they have copies? You guys have copies of this? This is, I'm talking about what Ron from Apex.
I don't know.
You don't have copies? I make copies. This one is- Okay, so your last meeting, Ron from Apex came to talk to you guys about the premiums that the employees pay, whether it's employee only, or it's employee spouse, employee children, or the family plan. If you look on here, they do an Apex bench data reporting every year. It's basically a survey to see like what all of their clients, like how we're reporting in as far as, you know, what's being paid, what other counties are doing, other companies, private sector or government. We currently, if you look on here, this first little box, we are paying, the employee only is 18.4%. He's showing that when he did his surveys, that on the right side is what the majority of places are paying. So you'll see like we're paying 30% and the employee's paying 70%. On the employee and children, they're paying 27% and the employee's paying 73%. He's saying that based on the surveys, that they are paying, the majority of places are paying between the 75 and 80% of the cost and only putting the 25 to 20% on the employee. So, it says down here, I had actually said nearly the same amounts overall, 20%, 80% as one of the examples while talking during the commissioner's meeting. It is for certain that employers do not accept the, can't say that, a financial responsibility for the employee, but a lesser amount for the dependent tiers of the coverage. So you guys need to, what I'm here today is to find out what you guys wanna do. Do you wanna keep it the way we have it? Or do you want to absorb some of the cost and make it a little bit cheaper for people to put their families and their children?
I think, like I said last meeting, we
Yeah, this
need
is
to
what he
help them.
presented to you
Yeah.
at the last meeting, she just did an
We need to, we're
overview.
losing good quality people because of just of the insurance. I mean,
and
someone
we're not
gets-
getting them hired because of the insurance.
And, you know,
We have applicants who, as soon as they sit down and they see what our insurance program is, they say, well, I can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're-
I had a call a while back, one of our employees was getting married, and then they got a child, which is on the girlfriends, they're not married yet, but as soon as they get married, he said he's gonna have to move to a different job. because of the insurance, cause it's gonna cost him $900 and some a month. Well,
Our family plan is $431.19 every 2 weeks, so it comes out to be an average of.
it's almost a whole pay period for most people. I wanna help our employees. I still like to see them get the $2,000 HSA, and I would like to do the best we can with the money available granted to us.
So what I need to know from you basically is, do you wanna do 75%, do you wanna pay 80%, like where do you want to go?
Currently, we're at
Currently, you're paying roughly 30%, 27 to 30%.
of each category.
Well, except employee only. The employee only, we pay,
Eighty.
yeah, the 81 point.
Well, Steve, what percent would you like to see this?
What, have you crunched the numbers to see which one we can actually afford?
Well, that's where there's kind of a,
It depends on who goes to get surgeries and who does what, I know that.
That's a shot in the dark.
yeah, according to the last couple years, we aren't using even half of what we're budgeted, like because of getting back stuff from stop loss, that kind of
Right.
stuff. But that could change. I mean, we
Well,
don't know.
That is why Ron presented this to us, because he
Right.
knows that we can't afford it because of what we do spend and what we have left in our budget. You know, and her talk about that.
Well, let's crunch the numbers to 75%. That's a big increase to help the employees.
What they did do is increase some this next year, so we are increase the,
So do like 60%, like double it.
the cost of it is low, but it could be.
I can put, if you want me to, I can put it together and then at your next meeting tell you.
I thought we needed to know. for our
Well,
payroll.
I wanted to know, the reason that I wanted to kind of have a decision this meeting was because our open enrollment started August 1. So before we start premium, like my first payroll deduction will be this Friday. So I was going, you know, if we could have a decision of what you wanted to do, then I could start it on their first paycheck.
How many people do we have right now taking the family plan? That's the one that hurts the worst.
There's not a lot on the family plan.
We would get more of the
That would increase cost.
But with that, unfortunately, since we did, an open enrollment stopped 7/31. So unless there is a life-changing event such as a marriage or a birth or something like that, they're pretty much locked into what they're in right now. Anyways, unless it's a new hire that would be coming in.
I'd like to know how many we actually got that's family and one that's just children. Those are the two that we need to work on. I think the single, okay. Because I know like Purdue with the employee and your spouse, if your spouse has got a job, I have to pay extra.
Yeah, usually there's a cutout, they call it a carve out.
Right, because if she's offered insurance and she denies it, it goes on mine, I pay extra, which is still cheaper than what hers was. Well, it's government funded.
Sometimes they won't, some policies won't even allow you to cover your spouse if
Right.
she has coverage. Yes.
But
Ashley, did you have a question?
But I think it also would be a secondary.
Right now, Steve, what Beth's showing me, right now, we only have 3 people that have spouse coverage, we only have 2 people that have children coverage. The family plan, we don't have anybody, and there were 2 people that were on the family plan, but they're gone. So,
So you're talking about people.
so unless there are, I mean, it is a possibility that, like you said, if somebody finds out that they can afford it, they might choose to want to enroll them in it, but like I said, they're gonna be locked until 7/8/1 of next year anyways. So we're not gonna really see much of a change probably this year, and it would be open enrollment next year.
I would like to really help the ones with the children and the family plan, because trying to do their.
Yeah, 160,
It's tough.
it's 163.19 to pay, and you just put your children only on there.
Well, sounds like you're just talking about a handful of people. And if you're at risk right now of losing employees because of this, if you don't make a change now, and if you take steps, taking steps sounds like a great idea, except for if it's not a big enough step, or, you know, they don't see the change they need, you're gonna lose those people. So,
That's absolutely right.
keep that in
And
mind.
I'm still big on the factor of we have people who apply and when it comes down to, you know,
Right.
getting
That's why I'm
actually
thinking it will
hired, they
help.
won't do it.
It will help the new employees.
You originally said 70%, I'd like to go to that number.
For the children and the family.
Yeah. Now, we're gonna
The
have,
two of them. Can we do that? Can we just pick and choose which ones we wanna do?
Yeah, you guys can set, yeah, there's nothing that says that you have to, that's what he's showing, is that he did surveys to look at other counties,
Right.
and then this is what they're.
So like, if we don't adopt this right away and you don't get our numbers to us and you do a deduction for somebody that had the family, you took out that $400, is there a way to credit that for the next insurance way if we decide to, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I could just adjust theirs for one pay period.
That's gonna be kind of messy, you got
Yeah.
withholding and all that kind of tax.
Right. That's, that's why that'd be my biggest concern, cause I don't think
We
somebody
don't have any-
$400
You
would
have,
probably.
am I the last person on here?
Okay.
Or do you still have other people on here? What numbers are you wanting? Cause I could probably get them pretty quickly.
Just the children and family plan,
You just wanna know how much to change their
Yeah.
numbers? Okay.
at 80% or 70%.
I don't care.
What doesn't he?
You want
Here, you
70?
have it on here?
It'll work. Competitive.
The only thing I brought in was what you want. Yeah. Okay, so right now, they are paying 163.19 times 26 pay periods. So, if you wanted to,
Right. But it'll change.
does it?
Be more people on it.
It'll work.
It's not gonna change unless, what she's saying is, no, what, just because you change this doesn't mean you gotta have a bunch of people sign up. for the
Right.
enrollment period.
Yeah, they can.
It could change next year.
Right.
But you could change your number, see how this year goes, see if that 70% was, you could live with it. And,
We should be able to live with it because
yeah,
several years ago, our insurance was going over $1 million a year.
oh,
That's when we changed this whole system and we have an excess amount every year now.
Okay, so, I did calculate this, sorry. If you did 75%, it would change the employee's cost from being $934.25 for a family plan to $406.13, if you did 75. If you did 80%, that would change it to be $324.90.
That's divided by 2.
times 12 divided by 26.
Yeah, because there's 26 days. So, what I did, this would be, monthly, so I would have to multiply that by 12, and do like she said, divide by monthly. But,
What would
So,
that be, Melinda?
I mean, it
What was
would
that
make a
number-
big,
What was that number again, the 80% number?
if you did 324.90
24, so 325.
times 12.
You're about 150.
So that's $150 a paycheck. Still a chunk, but it's a lot better than 400.
Right, and if they do have a family, or they have children, or they have a spouse, they do have a higher deductible. So, it's not like you're just absorbing all of the costs, and then there's still, they still do have to pay the additional $4,000 deductible.
Well, I think we can roll some employees in if we drop the fuel to 80%. $150 a pay period is nothing compared to 400 and something. At least you can still live.
Yep. Buy groceries.
I'll make a motion to, for the family and the children to move it to 80%.
So not, you do not wanna change the spouse coverage? Keep it just,
No. Because normally the spouse works and they have, I don't know. Does everybody,
I'm not following the chart here, what's the?
see, we,
How many people did you say
Yeah.
that?
this one here's
As
just
spouse?
for the husband and wife.
Three.
7%.
We got 3 people who have spouse.
Do 80 the whole
Two
way.
with children,
80 the whole
Two
way.
with
I'm
children.
looking to do 80 the
no
whole way.
family plan,
We have 3 for spouse and 2 for children.
and no family plan.
as of right
And enrollment is closed,
Right.
so that's the way it's gonna be for the end, to the
now.
end of the year.
Unless we have.
A hire.
Yes,
Yeah, that might
new
be-
hires, or someone were to get married, like a life-changing event is
Oh, okay.
marriage, divorce, adoption.
So, like this one here's like 81.
Dieting,
Yeah,
yeah.
say
We pay-
your husband lost
If
his
we do
job.
80,
Did
does
you
that
say
go to
diet?
the employee only?
Dieting.
Diet, yeah. Yeah, I'm not.
How many people,
Yeah.
how many people don't take?
You don't think it'll drop it to 80? Cause we
We,
pay 81.
I'm sorry.
If we do 80 all the way across the board, would that go to drop to single employee only? Down to that 1.6%?
We actually do pay more for the 80, or for the employee, I think, so I would probably leave the employees the way they are, if you guys are okay with that. Employees
Just do,
only.
the 3 categories at 80% across the board.
Because, I mean, we pay $25
Right.
every pay period, and that's not
Right.
unreasonable.
Well, except for the
That's what he's
smokers, they
saying
pay
is,
extra.
will that change? And we don't want it to change.
Yeah, we don't have to change that, we can do 80% just for the
But they
other
also
three
don't have to know
categories.
they're gonna pay an extra premium if they got smokers or tobacco users, because that's part of our policy.
Right. Right.
And what is that? Is that an extra 25 pay
It's an
period?
extra 20 a pay period, but it only applies to the employee. So say your wife smokes, that doesn't count. And I don't
But
know
she's gonna
why.
be on our insurance, it needs to count.
I can check with them, I mean, I can check with the brokers to see if that's, when they set up the smoking policy, it was just one of the things that they said, that you just charge it for.
Well,
I think it should be, if the spouse is, and I think we're.
if we're gonna step up to the plate, then, yeah.
We're insuring the kids up to what, a little bit, 26? So it should apply to them too.
Okay, so, let me check into the smoking affidavit.
Tobacco use only, and that needs to include the vape.
I agree, I mean, I pay it.
That needs to include the vape.
Well, yeah.
That needs to include the vape.
Okay, oh, it does. On the form that we fill out, it's chewing, vaping, like it specifies all of that.
Oh, man, I can't shoot anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to leave employee only the same, and just the other 3 categories, change those to 80%. And then check with the broker, I just need to make sure with the broker that there isn't some kind of law that says that we can't charge the spouse, because I don't know why they didn't include that to begin with. So I'll just check with them on that, and then, I think that's it. Did I have
Spouse
choice?
and kid, right?
What?
Spouse and children?
And family, yeah. Yeah. Joyce wanted to know how many people don't take the insurance. To be honest, I would say probably maybe 20, 25, I don't know. I'd have to run the numbers. Our average, if I were, it might be a little bit higher.
92 on.
And I can't remember what our average for full-time employees is right now. So I'd have to really look to see. But the majority of the time, if somebody's not taking our insurance, it's because their spouse has a better plan.
Right.
So it's not like they're not taking it and they're you know what I mean, like,
So this just.
you wanna go wherever your insurance is better, like, I mean, that's beneficial to the employee. But- Okay,
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
you're welcome. That's my information. Thank you.
We are down to other commissioners' actions. Before I start on those, I wanna say that we had a discussion in here, I think it was the last meeting, but it may have been one, I think it was the last meeting, concerning, corner out south of town out here where it was difficult to see because of the for the corn. And, I'm really happy to say that since that discussion was here and was talked about in, I think it was printed in the paper, that day, he mowed it.
Yeah, but Cameron Yates made a phone call and they had it taken care of.
They
With
mowed
his
it.
donations from his last year.
I mean, somebody could argue that, gee, you should have mowed another few rows, but that's his ground, so, he made an attempt, he cut, I think, 4 rows, but, so, that's good.
At the
Yes.
corner of 300 North and Meridian, I had a complaint called in about that, and I called the highway about it, and I looked about 4 days later and it hadn't been done, but I haven't looked lately. But if you're
North of
going west
Meridian.
on 300 North, you can't see to your left to go across or pull left, either one.
That's about most
And
of
it's
your
cut back
sections right
some,
now.
but it's not back far enough. Cause I was on Meridian going to Camden and a truck would come completely out on the road, they never see me when I went down it, and so I can see why it does need to be cut down, cut back.
Let it dry back on. Also, has anything been worked out with moving the, veterans office?
I stopped down there today, he said he was
Good.
waiting on, Donnie's moved over, the surveyor. Keith has been doing a deep cleaning in the old office,
Uh-huh.
and he's patching the holes and stuff, and Larry was advised to start packing, but he hasn't yet, but he said he was waiting on the okay for him to go into the room. So I think he's just waiting on Keith to tell him it's okay to go over. So
So it's all underway?
It's underway.
All right, good.
I was actually asked if he was even gonna move, because Larry was hesitating about it. And I went down and asked him, so are you gonna move? If not, we'll just put Harry Plan in there. And he goes, I'm moving. He said, I'm just waiting on the okay to move. So I think it's within this week, he should be able to start.
Does he have the labor force to move? That's what I was really concerned
Well,
about.
that's where Keith probably have to help move all this stuff, most of it.
Okay. Okay. And with that, we'll go to, appointment to the APC.
Which that only came out in the paper on Wednesday. Let's give that to the next meeting.
Yeah, I put it on, I had for some reason put it on here for this agenda,
Let's
but
see
you have to
where
October to do.
Jack's put in for it.
Jack has put in for Jack Begley, should say the name.
That's it, I'm sorry, Jack.
And Dale Seward has to. So I got that last night. Dale Seward sent me an email last
He
night.
was on, wasn't he?
Through Delphi.
And Jack was on there for maybe a month.
That was Board of Zoning Appeals.
Oh, board, sorry,
Same room.
yeah. So,
I'd like to give it to the next meeting, so if anybody just
no,
now ready to pay our.
I was just premature there.
Yeah, we got until October.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So then we're ready for jail project discussion.
I haven't heard any updates from Jack, but you did.
No, I know, I don't know if Tony wants to address it, we suggested that we'll ask for an answer from bond counsel and from the accountant about the possibility of availability of USDA longer-term funds.
Right.
And I have not got an answer back yet on that, so there's a possibility of some other source of longer-term financing being blended in with the current income tax. So I don't have anything to report. I checked my messages this morning, and I don't have any.
Normally Jack will send you something.
Yeah, Jack sent us something right away.
Well, now, we requested funds from the council to do the, bid preparation.
Correct.
And,
Been advertised, right?
Yeah, they submitted both of those, the 23,300 and the 60,000.
us to get ready to do bidding. We can't, I mean, we're,
More delays, more cost.
It would probably be nice if one of you or the councilman to explain
that's Thursday.
Wednesday, or yeah, Thursday the 20th.
Yeah, well, that'll be after our next meeting, so. Yes,
I got thinking about this and just wanted to ask, the $60,000 for bid preparation wasn't part of the services that Jack was supposed to be rendering for the whatever amount monthly charge he's doing. Wasn't that supposed to include the bid preparation?
I thought it was in the architect's fees.
There's an adjustment in the architect. that we're changing.
Yeah,
It's
the plan's
segregating
been
that out of the architects. What the architect's been paid so far is for design work.
Right.
This stage is actually preparation of bid documents and bid alternates and all that, so that's part of the architects.
Okay, well.
Now, so the 60,000, the number, Jack came up with,
Included
like
his.
working with the architect, this is the number.
Because part of it was Jack's fee and the other part was the architect's.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. Because since we had changes to the building, it changes how they prepare to go to the bid, because all the nuts and bolts are, I think, are actually all counted in that.
Well, if I can make a suggestion, I think bringing out the fact that at least a major chunk of it is architect fees and not Jack's fees, that
It'd be a question.
might smooth a little bit of the wheels. I'm not gonna say it'll help a lot, but
Okay. I don't know what percentage that is.
Well, I think Jack's fee is only like 46 or 4,700 for what he had been billed. I gotta look at the email. Cause he explained it in the email to us.
Okay. That's something, that's a good point. That's something we need to, know for the next, council meeting. Bring that up. Anything else for the commissioners?
How's our count today, Sheriff, since we're talking about the jail?
19 in-house and 5 out of county.
Oh, we lost one.
Yeah,
COVID let him go?
no, they served their time.
Well, that's a plus. So when do you expect the big rush to come in?
When do we expect a lot of things to?
Well, I mean, I know the court's been put back for 3 months, and there's a lot of people running free that probably should have been incarcerated.
I can name a few.
Of course, my continued concern is, so far, we've not had that spark in our facility, and it would only take one. And being able to quarantine or isolate is gonna be very difficult in our facility,
Right.
so.
And while we got you here, we might need your assistance with, property with cars in the right of ways. Maybe throw some stickers on them. Out in the color area, probably know where we're talking.
Yeah, we had quite a discussion earlier in the meeting concerning cleanup of properties. And, one that is, I guess I brought it forward and it has been discussed a great deal, is one that, as they're parking, they're, as they're storing junk cars, they are at least half the cars sitting on the right of way. And, our area plan gentleman, Cameron, said that those could be tagged and towed real quick. And I can attest to the fact this guy is not going to clean it up. He's not going to move it. My wife said that more moved in today. I drove by, but I didn't look, I didn't notice. There's, in this whole time we've been talking to him, I've only seen 2 vehicles leave. So he's, and And, I mean, he's come in and he said, well, I'm gonna buy license plates for every one of them. But he hasn't bought one license plate yet. And anyway, they're still all sitting on the right of way. And at times, he's setting them in a way that, not only is on the right of way, it's in the road. So, we, as Steve said, we need your help on this. And, Cameron can fill you in on all the details. Okay?
Yeah.
But this is one that was time to do something about, and we're gonna get more aggressive on this one, cleaning up these places.
I'm just curious, is he claiming to be operating a junkyard or?
Well, no, he doesn't call it a junkyard, this is his private collection.
Because obviously, we had, and you may recall this, particularly Bill and Lauren, we had a situation in Jefferson Township many years ago with an individual that was claiming to be operating a junkyard. And there's obviously a process through the state for someone to implement a junkyard. I know junkyard, I'm just using slang junkyard, but,
Is this the one where he's using the payloader to mash the cars down?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, so, I was just curious whether or not this individual was also attempting to claim with it, but you say he's referring to it as a collection.
Well, yeah, they're his private stock of cars. Now, he's taking parts off and doing this with them and helping the good old boys with a part here or there and all that kind of stuff, but, yeah, it's a private salvage house.
And then you mentioned right away, you're referring to county right away that's in
County
these,
right-of-way.
okay,
Not state.
yeah.
It's actually some of the platted streets that are in Cutler. So they are not the same as a county road, because they're a platted street. We own that street.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, we'll help out with what we can.
We appreciate it very much. Anything else to come before the board? Yes, sir. You've been very patient.
Thank you. So I'm Keith Canterville. You're familiar with my concern with the Twin Lakes Regional Sewer District. I'm not on the agenda. I guess I'm content to have an informal conversation with you afterwards to see if it's appropriate for a meeting agenda item in the future, or if it's something.
Okay, the echo's kinda getting to me here.
Is this the gentleman that you were talking about that had the issues with the sewer?
Yes, where when I left that meeting of Twin Lakes Regional Sewer, I thought that it was worked out. Is it not worked out, or?
It is not.
It is not.
Their offer was not a reasonable offer whatsoever. They want me to assume all responsibilities for the line that's on my property that was installed in the wrong location. And they want me to give them future rights to demand that I move it at my expense, and so on and so forth. I'm going to reject that agreement in its entirety.
Well, Ted, let me review this with you, and you correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. This gentleman, citizen of our county, and he bought a lot to build a garage on.
Correct.
And in the process, he discovered that the Twin Lakes Regional Sewer line is not where it was shown to be built. And so it's interfered with his ability to use that lot that he bought. He can't build. And they have been, from what I noticed, pretty immobile on their viewpoint. So they want him to have to pay all the expense of moving the line and assume everything on it when they put it in the wrong place in the first place. How does this work?
That's too bold to be able to answer off the top of my head, and it's private civil matter, it's not it's not something.
It's not a county matter that since we allowed them to come in, we don't, that's it, we're out of the picture.
Well, we made a board, so it's a white Carroll County board, if I remember.
No, we didn't make the board was already there. And simply, we had 3 or 4 people who kept coming in and asking to be to this because they had sewer problems, you know? And so the commissioners at that time, which was before my time, yeah, just, made it one day a blanket approval, and they said, well, let's just invite you, make sure you come across the lot. And they did. And, apparently all the easements that they took are, they call them blanket easements. There's something about the easements that they made everybody sign it, that, it does not specifically say where that line is gonna be, although they gave drawings of where the line was gonna be.
And that's where I have issue, if I'm okay to speak now. I have a copy of the easement, I've only owned the property 6 years. I have a copy of the easement that was signed off on by the previous owners. And there's a clause in there that states specifically that the equipment, the lines, and so on are to be installed per the record drawings on file in the sewer district
Okay,
office.
that's different than they said at the meeting,
They refer to it as a blanket easement, the actual easement, and that was prepared by their current attorney, Tribbett, years ago, but that, easement, says specifically that it's to be per the record drawing, and I got a copy of the record drawing from them, and it shows this line in question entirely on the neighbor's property, and yet they refuse to accept responsibility.
I don't believe once a district is allowed to be once you approve the district coming into a certain area, I think the county loses all control over it unless you create a feeding district.
I have a question on that as well. That was the form I gave you, Bill, referring back to Indiana Code 13, that my understanding from the little bit that I read of that was that the commissioners still retain authority over the district board. That there's a district authority established through Indiana Code that provides oversight to
I
the.
think we just appoint a person to be on that.
And my question there is that person responsible to represent the public, or are they only to look out for sewer district business? Because Jamie Rupp has no interest of the public in mind whatsoever.
A lot of questions there. For a long time, we didn't even have a board member, and that's one of the things I objected to right away, was that, when I came on, was that we weren't represented in any way, and so they said, well, we'll give you a board member, so they added one for us to have, and we have appointed them, and that term should be up at the end of this year.
No, we just put him on for one
We did? When did we do that?
last year.
Last year, we put one for four? No, I don't think he can, because it says he can only serve 2 terms. and he's been on 10
2
years.
4-year terms is allowed by
Yeah,
that
but he-
ordinance.
I think he was put on by caucus somehow to be
I
on
think
that.
he filled in for somebody that left.
Right, so
Also,
he,
I can check that.
we need to check that, because he served for, I'm sure, a year or 2, the remainder, and then he's been on, I think, 2 terms now already.
Well, he explained it to me, I'll talk to Jamie about him too. He, said he was on for like a year and a half, then he got appointed, then his term just came up again just recently. It's something we'll have to look at.
In one of the first 2 meetings I attended, he made a comment that he'd been on 9 or 10 years without accuracy, that's a statement he made in the meeting at that time.
I was, at that meeting, disappointed to find that Jamie, as he's saying, did not represent people. He was, in fact, the most vocal opposed to him.
Correct.
Which I think is, that's sad. I had hoped that he would, that any appointment we make to any of these boards would represent the people and represent the individuals and not become a spokesman for the board. Are you?
Well, yes, I just said maybe he should come in and explain maybe he should be here and telling me what's going on, being
he was not cordial at all to our people. So Jamie,
Jamie does get a little out of line once in a while.
yes, he does, and he was that way up to that meeting. So you're saying we don't have a dog in this fight?
As far as being able to legally do anything about the problem,
Yeah,
other than your appointing authority.
okay. Could you check on what that site was that you thought you found that said we have some jurisdiction over that board yet?
I do, it's Indiana Code 1326, 11.15,
1326,
11.15.
I'll take a look at it.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay. Keep in touch, see what we can do, okay? All right.
Does the auditor have your contact information?
Not currently, but I can
Would you
provide
provide
that.
that to us, please?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. There's been many issues that have come up that I wish we would have authority. So far, I haven't found it. What's it? Okay, is there anything else to come before the board? Yes?
I just wanted to mention that our COVID numbers are going up. Didn't know if anybody has watched for the past week now, starting from Sunday to Sunday, ending yesterday. We've had 27 positive. So in a week's time, I'm sorry,
27 new ones?
yes.
Most of that was one little.
We went from 120 to, we're at 147 today.
Okay, Steve's saying that most of that was in one location, is that so?
11, not most of them, no.
11 were in the same
There's
location.
it's public knowledge that the nursing home up here has COVID now. They're required by the state to notify anybody that has family there. So actually, I heard it from outside before I got the email, but they have,
I was told there was like 16 people.
no, there's 11 residents and 5 employees. 1 employee's from White County, 1's from Clinton County, so 3 employees and 11 residents. As of today, we just got that late on Friday. I think they're retesting everybody today, but even though they're in the nursing home, they're still all Carroll County residents, so.
Sure.
So the 27 over those is the public here. We got different
Are they,
areas.
are they showing signs or are they just testing positive? Cause I believe these tests are over half.
Well, some of them have symptoms, yes.
The problem with the testing is people get exposed. They find out that the person that they were with is positive, and they run out and get tested right away. We have to wait 7 to 10 days for the viral load to be in our system. So we get a lot of negatives because people are rushing to get tested too soon. So, there is that.
Yeah, they test
And
too
by that
soon.
time, you've already infected 5 or 6 others that are not quarantining yourself. Let's say if I have to quarantine myself, because like you said, you had it, and I'm sitting here and I go home, to work, tell them I quarantine, I have to use one of them now. So that's why I go to work.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were that way. By the way, I don't have it.
And,
That's
yeah, you test before you go to work, and it says negative, but then in 7 days, you could have it.
right.
Okay.
I do have something for the corner. Is your building cleaned out beside your van? I'm wanting to sell that property. I wanna get rid of it. I wanna get rid of it. And move the one ambulance garages until we get you a fix. You need a place. If you're still parking the van, you're still in there, and it's still got the mold and everything, to me, you're putting yourself at risk by, in that building.
We can tell the effects every time we're in the van, but we're just at the mercy of production.
But I think if you pull the van out of that area and put it in a different area, it might help too.
I can't put that van in the EMS garage.
No, you park it
Oh, okay.
outside.
Yeah, I thought you meant take it to the EMS garage, I was
No,
like, no.
park it outside. But we need to get that, I'd like to get that building sold out, so I don't know what the process is, we have to have it appraised or whatever.
Do I just take everything to the transfer station, or what do you want to do with it? I know there's some bare stuff, I don't know if
So how
it's-
much room's down there behind the ambulance garage?
There's there's actually some stuff for you, Joyce, there's.
Can she
notes
put
that
some of her
you
filing
have that
cabinets
are
and stuff
molded.
down there? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
we could probably fit
They're
five